Good evening, race fans, and welcome to another edition of the Push to Pass podcast. I am Derik Vance, and first and foremost, I want to thank everyone for a amazing launch last week with episode one. I want to thank Tony Donahue of Burnout Sports and Mike from BetIndyCar for joining us as well, making it a huge first episode. Well, as you can see down here at the bottom, we are in episode number 2. A lot to talk about, a lot to unpack as this show unfolds. We're going to talk about, as you can see, again, like I said, down at the bottom there, we do have to recap the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix that just come to a conclusion at Belle Isle on Sunday, moving to downtown Detroit in 2023. We will talk about that here momentarily. Also, too, we have some video from some drivers post race to get to as well. And then looking ahead to this coming weekend, we have the race at Road America that we will preview and discuss as well. Also, too, joining us, we have two amazing guests. Well, one returning guest, Mike from BetIndyCar, will be joining us towards the end of the show to recap his weekend last weekend at the Detroit Grand Prix, and then previewing for all you bettors and fantasy racing gurus out there, some of his favorites, and then along with some of my favorites and dark horses, and then drivers that you want to fade going into this week at Road America. And then joining me in about 15 minutes or so, amazing individual. Can't wait to hear the project that they are working on. But we're going to be joined by Shannon McBride of Tales from Turn 4 podcast. Also, too, you can check her out if you have not already. Give her a follow. If you go on Twitter at IndyCar Chick, you can find her there as well. But before we get into any of that, we do need to recap what was an exciting last chapter at the Detroit Grand Prix last weekend at Belle Isle. Like I said, next year, that race is going to be moving to downtown Detroit, and that'll be quite interesting to say the least. But before we get to that, like I said, an amazing way to end the IndyCar series at Belle Isle. Will Power staving off a late charging Alexander Rossi to pick up the win at Belle Isle last weekend. It's a good thing that Will Power, that race was only 70 laps and not 71 or 72 laps because, like I said, a late hard charge by Alexander Rossi. Will Power ended up beating Alexander Rossi by 1 second. When Alexander Rossi climbed to P2 with about 20 laps to go, that is when Will Power had about a 20-second lead, and Alexander Rossi on black tires, Will Power on red tires. Those tire strategies came into play here as well. Alexander Rossi was able to shave about 19 seconds off, but unfortunately just ran out of time there. But like I said, in what could have been the last race on Belle Isle before moving to downtown Detroit in 2023, the aforementioned Will Power scored his first victory of the 2022 NTT IndyCar season. Along with scoring that victory, he also took control of the points championship lead as well, staving off a hard-charging Alexander Rossi to win the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix presented by Lear on Sunday. We talked about strategies and pit stop strategies. Well, Will Power and his engineer used a two-stop strategy, again, implemented by race strategist Ron Rusgai, I believe that's how that's pronounced, to absolute perfection for the number 12 Verizon Team Penske Chevrolet, who, like I said, held off a hard-charging Alexander Rossi, who earlier in the race took an extra stop. He went on the 3-stop pit strategy for the number 27 Napa Auto Parts Auto Nation Honda. Team Penske, like I said, decided on a different strategy to try to help Will Power gain track position on what was a bumpy and narrow temporary street circuit from his 16th starting position. Also, too, Power had to drive, and this was what I think Will Power deserves the most credit for. Obviously, winning the race, but Will Power had to drive the final 20 laps on Firestone alternate red tires. And initially, at the start of the run, they had more grip, but the longer the run went, the more loose traction those red tires became within time. On the other hand, Rossi was more durable and consistent on his final run because he was on the Firestone, the primary black tires for his final run. Quoting Will Power after the race, I drove it as straight as I could, Power said when speaking about his tire preservation strategy over the last 20 laps. I never could put any slip angle into it. I was just driving it really straight and really nice on the brakes and the throttle. I knew if I could keep a reasonable gap until the end, we would be okay. Power's win was the 41st of his career and his first since August 2021 when he scored a win at the road course here at the infamous Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Like I said, Will Power did regain the top spot in the season points lead by just 3 points over second place and current Indianapolis 500 winner Marcus Erickson. Some more notable finishes. Scott Dixon finished third in the number 9 PCN Bank Chip Ganassi Racing Honda to complete the podium on the 14-turn, 2.3-mile street circuit. It's the last time, like I said, that the series is competing at the race at Belle Isle Park, as the event will be moving to the streets of downtown Detroit in 2023. After winning the NTT P1 award on Saturday, Joseph Newgarden, who finished fourth in the number 2 Hitachi Team Penske Chevrolet, which put, if you think about it, 2 Penske cars in the top 4. Rounding out the top 5 was Pato Award, who obviously finished 5th in the number 5 Arrow McLaren SP Chevrolet. Playing the long game on Andretti Autosports called Alexander Rossi into the pits in just 4 laps into the race to remove the Firestone red tires and change to a more durable black tire, again choosing that 3-stop strategy. For Team Penske and Chip Ganassi Racing during the race, they both chose a different route for Power and Dixon, respectively, choosing the 2-stop race strategy, respectively. And there was a lot of variety, even more among that option. Power opened the race on primary tires and didn't pit for a second pair of blacks until lap number 26. When he stayed on those tires before making the mandatory switch to the red tires on lap 51 for the final 20 laps of the race. Dixon, on the other hand, started on primary tires and switched to an alternate tire on lap number 27. Those tires, as Dixon noted, became grippy and less durable until for the race until needing to switch back to the primary blacks during his second and final stop on lap 45. Meanwhile, if you're wondering what kind of strategy Alexander Rossi had, he stopped for primary tires on lap 25 and 47 while completing his team's 3-stop strategy. So before we get to Shannon McBride here in a couple minutes, let's hear from some of the drivers that took part and participated in this weekend's race at Belle Isle.
Hey guys, race done here at Detroit. It was, I would say, almost a perfect day for us. We started really far in the back after not having a great day yesterday in qualifying, and we made it up to P6. So super happy. Strategy was on point. Pit stops were really good, and the car was really fast. So super happy. Now we're going to Road America, probably my favorite race course of the calendar. So looking forward to it.
All right, I just finished the race there. You know, I have my little gift of Detroit and the last gift from Belle Isle here, and it was an unexpected race. Well, there's two ways. We were expecting the red tires to last, but we also weren't, and you know, we weren't expecting it to last, you know, just 2 or 3 laps, which is literally what it did. But thankfully, I made the call and we just boxed because I think that was the right strategy to do, starting on the red tires. You know, Takuma, I think he stayed out on that red tire and couldn't make it last, so he also had a box. And then from that point on, I had my old friend Rinus VK just kind of towing me around for the rest of the session. And, you know, on the last stint, I tried really hard to get around Rosenquist. Couldn't get it done. You know, Detroit, it's pretty decent for being a street course for making moves, but still is a street course at the end of the day. And we got fastest lap at the end there, you know. It was totally worth destroying that set and not really making any moves at the end of the 5 laps there. But overall, I'm quite happy with that result. You know, it's kind of stings when you start P6 and finish P11. You kind of, you know, want to either be around there or go up. But at the end of the day, you know, being a rookie, with everything still happening, I'm still happy to finish that race and be the highest finishing rookie. So I will see you guys at Road America.
All right, so that's the last race on Belle Isle wrapped up. It felt great to be out there with the number 4 tailline crew this weekend. During the race, the guys were flawless in pit lane. Thought we had good stops, and we were on the 2-stop strategy that seemed to work out for us. Made some passes on track and got a couple spots on good in and out laps. So was happy how everything shook out for us coming on P19, and we'll be looking to learn what we can from here and our previous road courses this year going into Road America.
Solid day here in Detroit. You know, moments where I really felt like I was on pace and things were going well. Still struggling with my pit ins and outs and kind of working through traffic at times. But all in all, I think a step forward in my competitiveness, my understanding of the car, and just a great experience driving on this crazy track here in Belle Isle. Very special to be here for the last race on the island. I had, I guess, 3 races here with a doubleheader that I had last year, and truly enjoyed it. It is probably the roughest track I've ever been on in my life, but enjoyed it and had a great time here.
All right, so race day here in Detroit. Strange race, I thought. We started on the reds, which we knew were going to be difficult. I tried to really be clever and get them to work all the way to the window. I think I maybe overdid it a bit. We lost too much time there on the first stint. After that, it felt better. The car felt pretty good on the blacks, especially in the middle of the race. Felt pretty good. Then last stint on the blacks again. We struggled a bit with the balance. Couldn't really get close to Simon there, and yeah, it was just not perfect. So overall, a decent day, but yeah, I wanted a bit more.
Yeah, it was decent. I feel like I was maybe a little too conservative on the opening laps, and Will put a pretty good move on there into 3, and the same with actually McLaughlin early on. I knew the reds were going to be fast at the start, and was probably biding my time a little too much, but he drove a fantastic race. We had a lot of understeer early on, which was kind of strange, and we kind of dialed the car in. I think our pace leader was really good, so really happy for Honda, obviously. Had great results here this weekend, and obviously PNC Bank for all the support, and the 9 crew did a hell of a job, so nice and smooth for a change. It was good for me.
We'll see you next weekend.
I mean, a great weekend overall for the Meyer Shank Racing team. Qualified so well with Elio, 3rd and 4th. Shared the 2nd row. We had a great start running down Newgarden there for a while. Then we had some issues with the fuel mid-race, but eventually we finished 7th, which I think is a great result considering some of the issues we had. But overall, great job from everybody. Quite excited about what we accomplished this weekend. It's obviously every races are getting better, and now we're showing ourselves on the pointy end of the grid. So I'm really excited about that. Going to Road America next weekend.
Good to hear from some of the drivers that participated in this weekend's Detroit Grand Prix. A lot of different insights and things that they seen on the track during that 70 lap extravaganza. But joining us now is our first guest of the evening. So happy to be able to meet this individual. Finally, can't wait to hear her insight that she has in the world of IndyCar. It is Shannon McBride of Tales from Turn 4 podcast. Can't wait to hear her talk about that a little bit. But Shannon, first and foremost, welcome to Push to Pass. Glad that you could take a little bit of busy time out of your schedule to join us. For people that are unfamiliar with you, what you do, the insight that you bring, and as you just eloquently put on Twitter, your 2 cents. Tell us a bit about yourself.
I've been in and around IndyCar for about 20 years. I started as an intern for Greg Ray, and just kind of stuck around from there. I was formerly on another podcast and decided to take a venture off and start our own. So Has Miles and I are going to start recording maybe the end of this week, early next week after Road America maybe, and try to get that up and running. But yeah, I've just always really been into IndyCar. My family was really into it. It was a tradition to go to the 500. And so once I started working, it was all downhill from there.
So, okay, so your background, obviously, as you said, 20 plus years in IndyCar, covering the sport inside the sport. What made you decide one day to step out of IndyCar, the inner workings, and dip your toe into not only journalism but podcasting?
I don't know if anything. Well, I know exactly what happened. I've made myself a Twitter presence apparently by causing some ruffles with some other people and gained myself a following. And then I was asked to be on a couple of podcasts as a guest. And so I did those. And actually, my degree is in communications. So the journalism part isn't really that far fetched. I worked in PR when I was in IndyCar. So that was kind of always been there. Um, but yeah, so I just kind of got asked to be on podcasts, and then I decided that I really liked it, and then Pit Lane Parlay decided to keep me for a while. So um, we just kind of rolled with it. I'm a social media manager also on my part-time job, so it just kind of all fits in. And so I run my own brand, create a name for myself or something, and then do it for everybody else too. So here we are.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into the project that you're undertaking, as you mentioned. But let's get down. Just you just came in. You were hearing some of the tail end from some of the drivers that took part rather in this past weekend's Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. Curious to hear from your eyes, your perspective, what you've seen. I would say, for me, covering the sport in such a short term as I have, about 2 years now, I don't think Will Power is getting enough kudos for the driving job that he had to do those last 20 laps on the proverbial shitty red tires, so to say, because he seemed like he was going to be a sitting duck out there. And I think Will's got to be happy, obviously, not only to get the win, but that race wasn't 71 or 72 laps, because he would have had absolutely nothing for a hard charging Alexander Rossi.
Yeah, honest to God, I mean, I was there, I was watching, and I was waiting. I was just waiting for him, not necessarily to hit the wall and crash hard, right? But like to take a brush to the wall and cut off some seconds, and Rossi was just going to take him, and it just wasn't happening. And so, honest to God, it was a brilliant drive. It was a brilliant drive, and I do think that Will doesn't get enough credit recently. Like there was a moment in time in which he was the one always winning for Penske, right? And then Joseph came along and Elio's there, and now Scott McLaughlin is the big guy, right? But like Will's always been pretty consistent. If he's had the opportunity to win, he doesn't typically screw up that he doesn't. So I wasn't shocked that he did. I was disappointed because I'm a really big Alexander Rossi stan, but he just needed one more lap, right? And Will's really lucky that he didn't need one more lap. So it was a really, really good race. Road courses, street courses, they're not always my favorite. I'm an oval girl through and through. That's what I was raised on, right? That's what I look forward to. But I was really impressed with how entertaining Belle Isle was. There was some sort of like record number of passes, like 248 passes or something like that for the lead. Is that right? That seems high. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Look it up somewhere. But anyway, it was a really good that might have been for the 500. It was a really entertaining race, and there were no big cautions, there were no big wrecks, which is also I think what had to do with the strategy for Will. Because if he had yellows, there'd been no way he could have gotten a good restart on those tires. So it just all went in his favor. And he did a really good job holding on to that. So
Yeah, it went in his favor, and you think about it, just 1 year ago, the issues that Will
yeah,
Power had at the end of the doubleheader weekend, and I don't know if you were able to listen to any of the radio traffic right after the checkered flag was waving. The first word out of Will Power's mouth was redemption,
yeah.
and I think he's absolutely spot on. The heartbreak that he had last year at that doubleheader at Detroit, where they red flag it, and then all of a sudden he can't start his car. Funny how Marcus Erickson gets his first win because Will Power couldn't get his car started. Caveat there, but it was an interesting. You got to give credit to Alexander Rossi. I know obviously he's not. He's happy, but he's not coming in second. But the whirlwind week that he had announced last week. If you missed it, he's going to be the second driver for Arrow McLaren next year. Shannon, I don't know how much insight you have, but there are a lot of names that are being thrown around for this Arrow McLaren team in 2023. They want to field 3 cars. I talked about last week with Tony Donahue, the money that Arrow McLaren is putting in their game now, not only in Formula One, but now in IndyCar. They want to field that 3rd car. It seems like Felix Rosenquist, bless his heart, he's going to be the odd man out here. And I was listening to another show yesterday, and they quoted Tony Kanaan in a tweet that that 3rd car is not going to be Alex Palou. That's been the word around the paddock, is it's going to be Alex Palou. But I think Alex Palou is such in a good spot with Chip Ganassi. He's going to carry that banner going forward, because we all know, Scott Dixon's not getting any older. Obviously, Tony Kanaan, great driver, not getting any younger, or excuse me, Dixon not getting any younger, along with Kanaan. So Palou's going to be the one that's going to carry that banner. But according to Tony Kanaan, it's not going to be Alex Palou. It's not going to be Rinus VeeKay, but the name that's going to surface is going to knock people out of their chairs. Is there anything, Shannon, that you're hearing that you can put out with some credibility that would go along with what Tony Kanaan's talking about there?
I don't have anything that I don't want to start any rumors. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I will say that I think that there is a 99.9% chance it is not Alex Palou. It's I don't foresee Rinus going there unless they offer him a boatload of money. He's pretty loyal to Ed Carpenter. Ed took a chance on him. They've won some races together. They have a pretty good working relationship together. The crew does well together. There's not a big reason to leave. I think that my guess is Ed would offer Rinus a longer contract than Arrow would if he were to move. And that may not be your best option longevity wise. So that would be my take on that. I have a couple of drivers that, somebody's been like, hey, do you think this is it? And I'm like, I sure to God hope not. But anything's possible. The one that I think is the most possible and still out of that realm and still going to knock you off your chair is Scott Dixon.
Oh wow, that would be, that would be. I was thinking Colton Herta, and just because you think about the ties he had earlier in the year testing Formula One with Arrow McLaren.
So what I don't think will happen is I don't think they're going to put Pato and Colton on the same team, because one of those is probably going to end up in Formula One if Andretti ever gets the go ahead. So to put both of those guys who are your leading F1 candidates on one team is a bad move. So I wouldn't suspect that being the case. I do feel bad for Felix because God love him. Like, he's trying. It's just, he's had some really crappy luck lately. And it's just not, he did well at the 500. I thought maybe that might be his jumping point, right, for the rest of the season to just keep him going. So I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to come up from Lights for Arrow. I don't think we'll sign anybody from Lights. I do think it's going to be a name from a big team that we already have, or God, I hate this one, or it's going to be a substitute driver who's had ridiculous amounts of luck and success in several cars.
I can name one.
I'm trying not to name him.
I can name one. And he just raced this weekend, if memory serves me correct.
He did. But here's the other thing. There's also going to probably be a second Yoko's car. And so maybe he ends up there and that would be better. I said this on Twitter. If this particular person ends up on the same team as Alexander Rossi, we're going to have to start a GoFundMe for a bail, because I think that's not going to end well. So I think that I would hope that they would take those kinds of things into consideration.
And I know now, I know what name you're going with. I've said all year that the impressive driving that this individual that remains nameless, he has done subbing. He deserves a full-time ride. He absolutely, for what he has done, coming in, not having anything, and then jumping in the car. Was it the St. Pete, or was it the race after that where he got a top 5, I believe? Yeah, he definitely deserves a ride, and we'll see how that plays out. Anybody else? Just running down the top 26 here. I thought Indianapolis Rookie of the Year snub David Malukas, finishing 11th. That didn't sit well with me. That didn't sit well with me at all.
So I have a soft spot in my heart for David. We've done a lot of interviews with him previously. I really was supportive of him moving up, and I told him, like, I always have your back. And when that little melee happened, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. What I really truly think needs to happen, and it sounded like even Kyle Kirkwood was unaware of what the actual criteria for Rookie of the Year was based on that last move he tried to make on Malukas. Both of them thought it was going to be whoever finished highest is your Rookie of the Year for the 500, which makes total sense. That's not the criteria. I personally think there should probably be 2 of them. Like, do a Rookie of the race, maybe do a Rookie of the 500, and you could do a Rookie of like month of May, or call it something else, whatever you want to do. But there was no way he was going to beat out Jimmy Johnson in a popularity contest. And that's exactly what Rookie of the Year ended up being. Same thing happened with Ed Jones and Alonso, right? It's an impossible feat. You're just not going to do it. But it sucks. And I don't think it's fair. And I do hope that he ends up being rookie of the year overall.
Yeah, that would definitely it would take a little bit of the sting away from not being Indianapolis 500 rookie of the month. One more notable finish, and then I want to get to Road America this weekend. For the week that Marcus Erickson had, all of the hoopla, winning the 500, doing the winners tour. Kudos to him as well, finishing in the top 10. I can't imagine how much sleep that individual lacked all week, and then going out and taking Belle Isle on as he did. You know how hard, of course, that is, and coming home with a top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I always think the Belle Isle or Detroit is it's just brutal to go right into that right after the month of May, and especially for the winter and especially for the winner's crew because a lot of them take part in a lot of the stuff. And so, not only do you have to turn your car from an oval into a street car, like you have to it's just, the month of May is so much, and there's so much adrenaline the whole time that letdown just takes it all out of you. And so to just have to turn around and leave again on Wednesday to head up there is not very much time. So always big kudos to those guys who win the race and then end up and do well in Detroit. So but again, I mean Marcus was I think he was the sleeper. Like, I think people, yeah, he's on Ganassi. They're all doing great. One of them's going to win, but he was never like the name that was up there, right? It was always Alex. It was always Scott Dixon. He just came out of nowhere and like just rocked the hell out of it. So, I was happy to see it. I was at Nashville when he went airborne and then ended up winning that race. And so it was, he's far more talented, I think, than people give him credit for.
It's interesting that you said you're at Nashville, that we may have ran into each other and not known it. But I spoke to Marcus's chief strategist after the race on Sunday at the 500, and I told him, I said, an interesting caveat. Marcus's last two wins, I was both at Nashville and Indy, and he goes, being quick-witted. Hey, what are you doing next weekend? Speaking about going to Detroit. So I found that pretty interesting as well. But speaking of going forward, we do have Road America this weekend. It sounds like this is one of the most exciting road courses that the Indy drivers go to. Give us a little bit of preview of what you expect to see, and then big news starting out this weekend as well at Road America. You have the return of Simona Di Silvestro with Parrot Autosports. Talk about that a little bit as well.
Yeah, actually, Road America, surprisingly, in all of these years, however this has happened, I've never been there personally, but it is my favorite road course to watch. I just think it's good for passing. It's good for entertainment. It's just a good, solid racetrack. I have such a hard time with this when everybody asks me, who do you think is going to win? Or what do you think is going to be top 5? And in any race, it doesn't matter what race, because I feel like it's so, like, I could tell you who's not going to be there, right? A lot easier than I could tell you who is, because I just feel like everybody has a chance. And really, it really does come down to your starting position. And again, like, last weekend, Rossi had the car to be in the Fast Six, and then Grosjean caused a red flag and nobody got to finish, right? So the way that the qualifying works out, sometimes it falls in your favor, sometimes it doesn't, even if you're a really fast car. So I do look for a little bit of a redemption arc for Rossi. I think it would be really great for him to his last win was 2019 at Road America with Andretti when he first re-signed his contract. I think this would be a sweet little like goodbye present to win here, this year, and kind of bookend that for Andretti Autosport. I look for them to be strong. I look for Joseph. He had a shitty year last year. He'll want to come back and fix that, right? So, and Alex Palou, you can never count him out. I feel like he's kind of been, it feels like he's been at the forefront of everybody's talks and then just falls back and doesn't kind of show up. I think that he's going to fix that also. I would look for a little, like I said, like I just feel like everybody's just really motivated to do well, and it's so hard to pick who's gonna be your winner.
You threw out some interesting names because the column that I do previewing it for fantasy purposes, favorites. You mentioned Joseph Newgarden, Alex Palou, and then in one of my sleeper categories is Alexander Rossi. So I find that interesting that we are on the same wavelength. Somebody I think I put in put in as a favorite that this may get in his wheelhouse is Roman Grosjean. Just saying. I think this is in his wheelhouse.
I think that yeah, okay. How do I put this politically correct without pissing anybody off?
First of all, there's nothing about this show that's politically correct. Let's establish that right now. Only in 2 episodes. Let's establish that right now.
I just worry that, and we saw it a little bit at Indy. There's still a little bit of that F1 mentality where it is all about me, and
just say it. He's pissing people off. Just say
he's pissing people off.
There you go. Right. Yes. Graham Rahal said it best. There you go.
He really is, and it really upsets me because he's really good for our fan base. He's really good with the fans. I saw him Saturday morning, like by himself, crowded with a whole bunch of people around him. He was signing autographs, taking pictures, not like rushing anybody off. Like, so he has that part down. It's like the on track part. It's a little bit like Ferrucci, right? Like I don't want to say they're not respectful because I don't feel like that's fair, but they just race disrespectfully. I don't like that.
You know what? In my world, I'll accept that. You were politically correct. I'll accept that. See, there's nothing politically correct, like I said, about this show. Shannon, I do want you to be able to, as I say, pimp your stuff as well. Tell people about the project I know you're embarking on, Tales from Turn 4. Absolutely love that name, by the way. And then other projects that you have, and then where people can follow you.
Yeah, so my husband and I just decided that we were going to start a podcast together. It took a while to come up with a name, but our seats actually are in Turn 4, and so we have like 7 or 10 people that come with us usually, and we call ourselves a Turn 4 Mafia. We didn't think putting Mafia in our name was probably best, so we went with Tales from Turn 4. But we are going to record podcasts. We're going to hope to be on Spotify and Apple within the next couple of weeks. We're working on our website, getting that designed. You can follow us on Twitter at Tales from Turn 4, the number. You can follow myself, IndyCar Chick. Follow Miles, M Scott 24, MD Scott 24 on Twitter, and we're gonna put up a YouTube page by the same name. It is live actually, and we have some race recaps videos already on there. But we'll also put the recording of the podcast on there when we get to that. So we're just trying to, just keep it going, do the things that we love to do. I'm so passionate about IndyCar. I love everything about it. Yes, I'm not going to be one of those people who create rumors for clicks. That's not going to be us. I try to stick with the facts. And if I don't have the facts, then I don't make the answers, right? Like I'm just real big on, I just want to get it right. Right. And I don't want to be one of those people. We have enough of those people who just say whatever they want because they think it might, throw some shit at a pole and it might stick. We're not going to do that. So if you're looking for rumors, don't come here. If you're looking for facts, come on up.
Definitely love where you come from with that. Being in the political world as I am, as well as this, you have no idea how true that statement is, where people will just put crap out there just for clicks, like you said. Any upcoming races? Obviously, you said you weren't going to be at Road America. Iowa or Nashville or anywhere in between where people can meet you at?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be in Nashville. We will be at the IMS doubleheader. We'll be at Gateway. We had talked about going to Iowa, but truth be told, gas prices are ridiculous. So
No way.
no way. So we're kind of having to balance that out right now. So we probably won't end up in Iowa. Sadly, I was really hoping to, but it's an 8.5 hour drive from us here, and so that's just a lot. So, but we will be Nashville, Gateway, and the doubleheader we will be at. So, yeah, please come find me, say hello. It's not uncommon for me to be walking in the garages and somebody be like, "Are you IndyCar chick?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have a name though." So, but I love it. Please come meet me, say hi, follow me. My DMs are open. You can ask any questions. I'm happy to help any newcomers come along. I just love the sport, so I want more people to love it too. So I'm an open book when it comes to IndyCar. Ask me anything.
Yeah, I will definitely look you up when we have the road course comes back here towards the end of July, and then we'll definitely get together down in Nashville. I know I'm going to be leaving Friday morning
Yep.
for there, so we'll get together. Maybe we can have we'll have dinner. All of us will have dinner, and we'll see how things go. But Shannon, again, huge thank you for carving a little bit of time out of your busy schedule here late at night to join us. And again, for people that are interested in following not only the podcast, but you individually on social media, where can people do that at?
At IndyCar Chick on Twitter and at Tales from Turn 4, the number 4.
Awesome. Again, huge thank you for joining us, and we'll speak down the road, and you are more than welcome to come back anytime you want.
Anytime you want. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a nice night. That was Shannon McBride. Like I said, go check her out on Twitter at Tales from Turn 4. And then her individual Twitter page is at IndyCar Chick. I think you will absolutely love the stuff that she is putting out. Looking at the studio clock, I do see that we are slowly rolling it to the 10 o'clock hour, and that means that our next guest is joining us. Can't wait to hear his hits and misses last weekend at Belle Isle. Hope he didn't put money on Andrew or Alexander Rossi, because that had to be one hell of a heartache on Sunday. And then I do have a question from him from the audience as well that I'm curious to get his thoughts on. But Mike from IndyCar, or BetIndyCar rather, is joining us. Mike, first and foremost, thank you for coming back. We may make this a common segment here on Push to Pass. But first and foremost, how was your pocketbook after Belle Isle this weekend?
How's it going, Derek? Good to be back and see you again, man. The pocketbook was great. I did have a 30-1 ticket on Rossi, and I was screaming like, one more lap, please give me one more lap. It's funny, I am a Will Power fan, probably. He's one of my favorite drivers. I'm betting and just IndyCar fan. So I did have a small ticket on Will Power, but it was only 6-1. And it was nothing like the payday that Rossi ticket was go. So when it comes to deciding who I'm going to cheer for in a race, while I am a Will Power fan, I was a Rossi fan, and I was screaming for one more lap. But it was a profitable race. I made a small profit. Like I said, nothing would have been a lot bigger if Rossi had won. But I do preach to everybody on the Twitter account and in the betting community with IndyCar. You know, I like to split my bets. So if I have a to-win bet on somebody, I like to also put a top three. Rossi's top three was 3.5-1. So that's actually excellent value. Usually your top threes are only like even money. So cash that ticket and win a couple matchups. Had a couple matchups against Grosjean. Had a McLaughlin matchup against McLaughlin. That was a winner. So it was a good week. The betting recap was good.
Yeah, I can't imagine what your thoughts were coming down to those last few laps where Rossi was closing ever so slightly on each lap. And again, as we were talking with Shannon McBride there, I don't think Will Power got enough credit for the driving that he had to do on Sunday with those last 20 laps being on those red tires, which if you watch the race, you noticed that they turned to shit real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I think power, it's funny. I had a bet from a betting perspective. I bet Dixon as well, top 3. And the sole purpose behind my handicapping on that was Dixon's the best guy at saving tires, and Detroit equals saving tires. My research, my notes, Detroit. One, it says Detroit's, kind of a crap show when it comes to who wins the race. And sure enough, it happened again. Power was not in the top 6. That is very uncharacteristic for a road course, street course in IndyCar. Usually, the name of the game in betting is find somebody in the top 6, in the pre-qualifying bets, which we'll probably talk about here in a second. But it happened again. Willpower coming from behind. But yeah, tires is the name of the game. Saving tires. Dixon, I would put it number 1 at that. I think there was some research on that came out after the race that showed that Dixon did the best job on his stints with those tires. But willpower's right there at number 2. Savvy vets, they know how to save tires. The rookies don't, and Detroit's a place where you got to do that to win.
Mike, was there somebody after the race that where they finished at that you looked back and said, "Damn, I should have put some money on them"?
No, not really. Nothing I could think of for this one. That does happen. You do have bet regret is real. That's a thing. It usually happens in matchups when you kind of think somebody's going to have a bad race, but you maybe don't put some money on a matchup. But no, not in this race that I can think of.
Somebody else I want to touch on, and I talked with Shannon with him or about him as well, that I think should get a lot of credit that he's not for the finish that he got is Marcus Erickson. All the hoopla that he had to go through winning the 500, the tour of New York and everything that he did. And I would imagine lack of sleep had to be right there at the top for him on Sunday, but yet coming away, going through all that havoc of a week, lack of sleep, lack of focus, and Marcus Erickson still comes home with a top 10 finish.
Yeah, that matchup that I talked about was Erickson over McLaughlin. That was one that I had targeted. I was a little nervous about that. I've been slow to come around on Erickson, I'll admit. My friends over at Burnout Sports and Burnout Bets, Tony and Jared, have kind of started to get me to come around on Erickson, and he did a great job. I was, that Detroit is obviously, he won there a year before, and it's a track he's got some good history at. But when I was handicapping the race, I was a little weary of the fact that the dude was taking the tour around the country, New York, and all types of stuff, and showing up kind of cold. But these guys are professionals. They jump in the car. They're only in the car for a short amount of time, and then you got the race, so they can handle it.
Yeah, he definitely did miss a beat. But moving on, this weekend, Road America up at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. You want to preview that a little bit? I did see within the last couple hours or earlier today, the lines did come out for that. So we'll talk about those a little bit, and then a question from the audience: if you could do a parlay, what drivers would you pick?
So parlay, just for people that don't know, is when you pair up, 2 bets to get some better odds. You can't parlay to win bets. That's not something that a sports book will let you do. Some may let you parlay top 3s and top 5s. I doubt it. What you can parlay is matchups. So we haven't had any matchups released yet for IndyCar for this week, but on Sunday there will be matchups before the race. So some books will let you pick some matchups. What you're looking to do there is look for matchups with some big favorites. So something that's going to be, in maybe like a minus 150, minus 200. So, $2 only wins you 1 is minus 200. And basically you want to take 2 drivers that are heavy favorites against another driver, pair them together. And instead of only winning $2 or $1 off your 2, it's now maybe even money, but you got to win them both. That's the trick from the parlay. Parlays are good for the house is probably the easiest way for me to put that. I'd stay away from parlays for the most part. Just like I'd stay away from betting those heavy favorites in IndyCar, because IndyCar is so unpredictable and so many things can happen. The matchup bets are where you can kind of is your best value, but parlaying them together is risky business. So sportsbooks love it when people parlay things. So and that's how they build those big casinos places. So I'll leave it at that.
That makes perfect sense. Vegas didn't get rich by betting wrong. Like I said, the lines were put out earlier today, and I know I retweeted those with you in them. If you've got a chance to look at those, what are some of the drivers that jump off the page right off the bat?
Oh yeah, you bet. I'm already I'm Wednesday afternoon. I'm already tweeting at the sports books, begging for IndyCar lines. We get the F1 and the NASCAR lines like sometimes right after the race ends for their races on Saturday and Sunday. IndyCar, we usually have to wait till Thursday. But yeah, the lines are out. I tweeted a bunch of them as well. I try to tweet most of the sports books that are popular, with IndyCar, PointsBet, Caesars, DraftKings, some of the offshores, Bovada, and MyBookie. I'll tweet those as well. So yeah, interesting. There's different I always tell people shop around. Look for the best number. And case in point, the guy that I'm going right back to the well with this week is Rossi. I wanted to bet Rossi on this track even before anything that happened yesterday. He's a guy I have circled at Road America. Everything that happened at the Detroit race makes me even more excited to bet Rossi at this track. So I didn't get 30-1, but there are books out there that have 21 available. I put a bet in at 20-1 on Rossi. So I'll be riding with Rossi again with a pre-qualification bet here. At DraftKings, I believe Rossi's 16-1, which is probably one of the more widely used sports books. So if you can get access to another one, Bet Rivers or Caesars, look for those good numbers. There's a big difference between 16-1, 21 if you actually hit a winner in the long term. So shop around for those numbers. Make sure you find it. The other driver that I put a pre-qualification bet on was Newgarden at 6-1. Maybe we can see the same exact kind of story play out. Newgarden should have won this race last year. When do you ever see a Penske car have a gearbox fail like that? And then when do you ever, same thing with power at Detroit. When do you ever see a Penske car, overheat and stop? Just crazy stuff happened. Newgarden should have won the race last year if not for that gearbox. He's a driver that can get into the Fast Six. I know he's capable at Road America. And, I think the idea behind the bets when you're betting IndyCar pre-qualifications is to try to find a guy that's going to be, in that Fast Six or even in that top three, because then there's numbers are going to shrink. If Rossi puts this car in the pole, he's going to go from 20-1 to 2-1. And I'm going to be a really happy guy sitting with a 20-1 ticket in my pocket come Sunday when everybody else is looking at Rossi at 2-1. And then what that does is gives me a ton of different options to hedge, pick other drivers that are maybe starting second or third. This is a race that you do. This is a race that is more historically like normal for IndyCar, where the leader or the winner more likely is going to come from the front, come from one of those top six drivers. I'm going to be looking to hammer a ton of top threes this week. The second I see a top three on Palou, I'll look to grab that. The second I see a top three on Herta, I'll look to grab that. And then I'll wait till after qualifications and see what the lines come out. And the lines will obviously move. I'm hoping that Rossi puts it in the top six, puts it in the top three. And then I've already got the bet in on him. He's done. I'm just trying to predict who's going to make that Fast Six with these pre-qualification bets you see in the opening lines.
Okay, you talk about some of the favorites that you're seeing when these lines just opened today. Are there any sleepers that people need to pay attention to with these lines? And then who are some people that you are drivers that you would fade?
Yeah, so in terms of sleepers, looking at the pre-qualification lines, the only two guys that I maybe throw some very small bet on just to see, just for craziness, would maybe be the Rahal boys. Maybe they can turn their season around. Harvey loves this track. He's always been fast at this track, but Harvey was fast at a lot of other tracks that we've seen already on the schedule, and he just has struggled in the Rahal cars as compared to what he was doing in Meyer-Shank. So, Harvey's 100-1. Yeah, I got $5 to throw in at 100-1 to see if Harvey can put it up in and win a race. Graham was 50-1 in a couple spots, 25-1, or 50-1 a bunch of spots, and maybe him. The only one maybe in the 20 range that kind of caught my eye was Rosenquist. Felix Rosenquist, they haven't been so great at Road America, but he hinted at some stuff if you were following the news And this is where you can make your money in IndyCar betting. Is the sports books are not following IndyCar news and IndyCar betting and what drivers are saying. They're just posting lines and taking money and moving the numbers to balance their book. So Rosenquist was 25-1. If I hadn't not pulling the trigger on that yet, but if they roll off the truck on Friday and I see that the aero cars are fast, and he's still sitting there at 25-1, I might put a little bit on that. But the rest of the betting I'll do on Sunday morning when all the matchups come out, all the top threes come out, the top five comes out, and the adjusted lines come out based on qualifying.
Also, a side note with Rosenquist, the news that came out obviously last weekend with Rossi moving over to Arrow McLaren in 2023. Arrow McLaren looking to add, have 3 cars next year. Felix may be driving for a job next year. Does that have any play into betting on him this weekend and going forward?
No, don't care. As far as betting goes, it's an IndyCar story. It's interested to me. I'm interested as a fan. But when it comes to betting, I'm betting numbers and lines, and I'm betting, based upon the information I know on drivers with track history and stats, and then what I see with my eyes and hear. That stuff is all noise. Obviously, look, I did consider it last week before I made that Rossi bet before qualifications. But mainly that bet had nothing to do with all the news of Rossi moving. It more was about Rossi being good at the track, and being fast at Detroit historically year over year. And it played out again that way, just missed on a strategy by, a lap.
Yeah. His race strategist definitely hit a home run, I think, for the most part, for Alexander Rossi. Last thing, Mike, anybody you're staying away from, avoiding, we'll call it avoiding like the plague when you look at these lines?
Yeah, I mean, the lines that, like I said, I'm looking at numbers more than drivers. You look at the number, then you associate with the driver. So 12-1 right now is too short for McLaughlin. 15-1, 16-1 is too short for Erickson, frankly, for me. VK 20-1 too short. Pagano's 20-1 too short. Like I would want, but if, again, I say that if you have a book that's offering, I think I tweeted out, if you find Rossi at 20-1, I like it. If you find Rossi at under 20-1, like I wouldn't bet Rossi on DraftKings at 16-1. So a lot of it's about the number when it comes to betting. I'm trying to get the most value extracted from these drivers, and like I said, I'm making a gamble that I think he's going to put it in, the top of the field. I want drivers in the top of the field on these opening lines, or the guys that are qualifying the top of the field. So that's why usually you won't see me touching. I did bet New Gardner 6-1 because I think that's going to go lower. But, as far as betting lines go, 5-1 for Palou is too short. 5-1 for my boy Power is too short. Colton at 6 is too short. I'm usually not going to bet something that's not double digits or at least closer to 10 before qualifications. Because like I said, these guys, qualifications, look at happened in Detroit. It was a bit of a mess. There were some red flags. Some guys didn't get their hot laps. They don't qualify. And if what happened in Detroit happens in Road to America for qualifying, we're not going to see a winner come back from 10th, 11th to I don't remember where Power started. It was in the back, and it's not going to happen at Road America. You need to be in the front at Road America. You need to qualify well. And if you have a bad qualifying session, then you're pretty much dead in terms of betting.
Mike, again, good stuff as always. For people that don't follow you already, first, shame on them. But for people that do want to follow you after seeing this and want to go win some money this weekend with your insight, where can people do that at?
Yeah, you get everything I put on Twitter is at Indy_bet is where I'm at on Twitter. I post a betting card before every race. Totally up to you guys and people out there if they want to fade me or follow me. I'll give the information. I'll give my thoughts. Then I'll post a betting recap after, and then I always post as I make bets and stuff I see. And I'll retweet some stuff, and I'll have some back and forth with some folks talking through what people can get out there and what they think about the betting lines and matchups.
Good stuff, Mike. And you may see me put a little bit of money this weekend. We'll see how that plays out. But Mike, again, huge thank you for joining us. Good luck with everything that you're going to lay down this weekend, and we'll talk again here in a few weeks.
Cool, man. Have a good night. Thanks. Good luck.
Yeah, you too. Yep. Good luck to you as well. Go check Mike out at Indy_bet if you want to win some scratch for sure. Definitely go and check him out. Also, too, not only check him out, but as you see down at the bottom of your screen, go give a like, a follow to Push to Pass podcast, as you can see scrolling right down there on Facebook, Getter, True Social, and Twitter, if you would please. Before we get on out of here, I know we got to wrap things up. Let's hear from some of the drivers that are going to be participating this weekend at Road America. We have two. First, the number 8 Husky Chocolate Honda and the winner of the Indianapolis 500, Marcus Erickson.
All right, so time for Road America this weekend. It's one of the most beautiful and best tracks of the calendar. Really enjoy driving there. It's the longest lap of the year as well. And what I like as well is produces really good racing usually as well. So looking forward to it. We've had some good runs there over the years. I think 4th place finish is my best one so far. Looking to improve that this year. I think we're going to have a strong package as usual, feeling confident after the last couple of races that we've had and the sort of confidence we've got from that. So yeah, really looking forward to the race and the whole weekend. It's going to be fun. Hoping to see a lot of fans out there.
Pumped to get to Wisconsin this weekend, Road America. Spent a lot of time in Wisconsin in my younger days racing ASA and also off-road trucks. So be happy to get back to that area, see some old friends, drive on such an epic and amazing racetrack. So, thoroughly just excited to go. Hope to build on last year's performance and be a bit more competitive.
That was both, again, the number 8 Husky Chocolate Honda with Chip Ganassi Racing and Indianapolis 500 winner Marcus Erickson. And then also, too, you had the number 48 Carvana Honda with Chip Ganassi Racing as well. Jimmy Johnson giving their thoughts on Road America this weekend. That does it for this episode of Push to Pass podcast. Make sure, again, give us a like, follow, subscribe. You can catch Push to Pass podcast, like I said, on Facebook, Getter, True Social, Twitter, and YouTube as well. We'll be putting out daily news from other news outlets. Also, we'll get news from IndyCar, NTT IndyCar, and then news that we report on here at the Push to Pass podcast. Huge thank you first to Shannon McBride of Tales from Turn 4 podcast. Go give them a follow on Twitter, and then her personal Twitter is at IndyCar Chick, all one word. Go give them a follow as well. And then also, as always, huge thank you to Mike from BetIndyCar at Indy_bet. Go give him a follow on Twitter as well. And hopefully, good luck this weekend to anyone that follows what Mike puts out there on Twitter in the betting and fantasy world as well. Again, huge thank you to everyone that tuned in last week and this week. Hopefully you become a mainstay here at Push to Pass. For Derik Vance, we will see you again after the next race.